Hi guys, so when you think retargeting, you probably already know a little bit about it and you've probably experienced it already yourself when browsing the web. So retargeting is basically when you see an ad for a business where you visited that business or website before and it has retargeted you based on the fact that you have interacted with them previously and they're trying to bring you back to their brand. Now, what some people don't know is how advanced and technical you can actually get with retargeting. Lots of people are aware of retargeting people who have visited a website previously, but there's also a lot more granular detail that you can go into, such as the time somebody spent on a site, such as how many pages they interacted with, and different URLs they've hit, etc. So we're going to talk through a bit more of an advanced retargeting strategy and how you can set that up. So let's dive in. Hi guys, welcome back to the course. So today we're going to be talking about how you can interact with people who've already visited your website or your app. And this is going to be by doing something called remarketing. Now remarketing basically allows you to strategically position yourself in front of people who you know have already had some sort of interaction with your website. And the main goal of remarketing obviously is to drive that conversion forward across your campaign. So there's loads of different benefits obviously to remarketing, one of which is the focused advertising that you have with remarketing. So you may want to set up an audience, for example, that someone who's hit your website and has spent more than a minute on the website, for example. That could be an audience that you deem is a highly engaged audience. So you can create an audience in Google Analytics that tracks that and then pull that into Google Ads to then remarket to that audience in the future. Or it might be something as simple as people have come to your website and perhaps you've got a lead form on the website and it's got 5 different steps that you have to complete to get through that lead form. Maybe you can capture the audience for people who fall onto step 4 of the lead form and then drop off, and then remarket to those people again in the future when they're on using a Google Ads platform. So there's different ways to remarket with Google Ads. We have what's known as the standard remarketing. So this is when you capture people while they are browsing either websites or apps across Google's display network. You can also do RLSA. So this is remarketing list for search ads. And this is where you show your ads to your past visitors or the audiences that you've built as they carry out searches on Google Search Network. So one of the benefits with RLSA specifically is you've probably got quite a wide list of broader keywords that you could be targeting, but those keywords might not actually lead to your end conversion if it's someone that you're reaching who are new to your brand. So RLSA means that you could actually target people who've been to your website before with those broader keywords. You know that there is some relevance behind the search already and you know that that person has already engaged with your website. You just want to bring them back and re-engage with them. You've also got video remarketing. So this is showing your ads to people who've interacted with your videos across your YouTube channel. It's really quite an exciting way of remarketing, I think. Obviously it's very visual and definitely something that you can test out. Customer lists is also another option for remarketing with Google. And customer lists are quite interesting because they actually allow you to upload lists based on your internal in-house data. So it's a list of contact information that customers have given you over time that you can then upload into Google Ads and potentially remarket to when those people are logged in on Google. And then the final option that you've got for remarketing on, so what we're going to talk about today, is what's known as dynamic remarketing. And dynamic remarketing is really interesting because it helps boost your overall results by using remarketing, but at a higher level in terms of it actually includes the products or the services that people viewed on your website. So it's very highly targeted to them and it helps to just re-engage with them. So we're going to talk a little bit more about these 5 different remarketing options that we've just briefly gone over there. I want to talk to you about them in a little bit more detail. and then we'll jump into Google Ads and I'll give you some demos of how you would set up a remarketing list and a remarketing audience, a remarketing campaign while using the Google Ads platform. Hi guys, so just continuing with our remarketing section. So there's a couple of things that you need to bear in mind when thinking about remarketing. So firstly, you'll need to install the Google Ads remarketing tag to your website. And then you can add your remarketing tag to every page on your website, for example, and track anyone who hits that. And then you can start building your remarketing lists within Google Ads to capture your audiences and people who visited your website. But do note that with remarketing lists for Google search, it needs to be a minimum of 1,000 before Google will actually deem that list relevant to use and tailor your ads to. And Google's done this just to help kind of protect the privacy of the people who make up your remarketing list. So it's just important to note. So if we think about creating a remarketing campaign, there's going to be obviously different reasons why you'll want to do it, different Google formats that you'll want to potentially use to target your audience. But let's start with remarketing lists for search ads. So like I mentioned before, it's really useful in terms of kind of bringing your customer back overall. There's two kind of main ways in which you'll use RLSA, so remarketing lists for search ads. One will be to either optimize your bids for existing keywords or use a different message for existing keywords to re-engage with that audience and bring them back. Another way to use the RLSA is to instead bid on different keywords to what you already captured your audience on. So this is when I mentioned earlier about maybe you want to be able to target a broader range of keywords, but know that the keyword pool is so broad that you wouldn't be able to effectively be able to bid on those keywords just in a normal auction. But having overlaying that RLSA audience means that you've got somebody who you know has already seen your brand, they've already engaged with you in some way, on your website, and that you are then willing to bid on these keywords for that specific audience and bring them back to your website. So the list membership limit for these is capped at 540 days in total. So any audience that you build will fall into that range. You can adjust it and select your date range in analytics or in Google Ads. So just be mindful that the maximum is 540 days. So in terms of kind of setting up your lists, so you'll need to create a remarketing list to start with, obviously, which you'll do once you've added the code to your website, and Google can track that for you. So the different audience lists that you might want to include can be just as simple as someone who's hit your web page, any page on your site, or I would start trying to go a little bit more granular with it to give your audience more relevance and segment them audiences out as well. So you'll have a typical kind of probably predefined audience that you've seen before. So you'll have like the all user generated audience. So that's anybody who's hit your website. Or you might have a returning user audience lists. You can then start kind of building out your own specific audience lists around what your campaign is going to be geared to do for your marketing strategy. It might be that you have multiple different services or products on your website, and you might want to create lists individually for people who've hit certain pages. So you might want to create a list for anybody who hit your contact us page, because you know that there was a bit of engagement behind that audience. Or you might want to include people who hit a certain section on your page. Maybe it's, I don't know, if you're e-commerce, you might want to start building an audience around people who hit all the women's tops page, for example. You can build an audience around that, and then you know that audience has hit that women's tops page, so you're going to try and recapture that audience in the future with maybe more specific messaging around women's tops, for example. So there's lots of different things you can do with remarketing. It is very clever, and you can get quite creative with it. So there's a lot of different options for you. I'm going to show you how to create your audience lists in both Google Ads and Google Analytics in another video coming up. So stay tuned for that. But before we move on to that, I also just want to talk to you a little bit about the other options that you've got for remarketing outside of just your remarketing list for search ads. So my next option we're going to talk about today is going to be remarketing for YouTube. So you can use YouTube remarketing lists to show basically custom ads, personalised ads to people on YouTube, search, Gmail, shopping, etc. And basically the YouTube remarketing lists are bespoke to help you show your ads to people who have seen your YouTube videos or who have basically interacted with your YouTube channel. And the benefits of this obviously is that you're capturing probably a really relevant and highly engaged audience straight away. So someone who's already watched a video or somebody who's engaged with your channel is probably kind of knows quite a bit about your brand and will be a good area to potentially bring back to you. So before you can actually get started with the video remarketing side of things, there's a couple of steps that you'll have to take to get things set up for that. So first of all, you'll need to log into your Google Ads account, which I'll show you how to do in the next video, and you need to link your Google Ads account with your YouTube channel. You'll also have to enable the remarketing feature while linking your YouTube and your Google Ads accounts together. And also within your YouTube account settings, you'll have to check if personalised ads are turned on. And because if the personalised ads option is turned off in your YouTube account, remarketing lists won't actually work for your YouTube channel. When it comes to building your videos that you're going to use, your lists that you're going to use for remarketing, you have to make sure that they're compliant with the policies. So there's links to Google Ads policies that you can access really easily and get more information about what policies Google Ads has around remarketing and around capturing audience data, etc. A couple other things to note. So make sure that you've got again for videos, you need to make sure that you've got a minimum of 1,000 active visitors or users on the list, otherwise it potentially won't work. And just make sure that you keep checking on your lists on a regular basis when you build them. So if, for example, the membership duration that you set was only 30 days, users will only stay on your marketing list for a maximum of 30 days. So if you start to see your list size decreasing, that might be a reason why. So you just want to potentially adjust that. You might want to do the longer term and just keep an eye on that so you can keep your lists up to date. So we'll talk through how to do the setup of that in this following video. So another area that we briefly spoke about in the introduction was the customer remarketing. So also known as customer match data. And how this works is based on your internal kind of company data that you've collected about your customers. So it might be something like you'll have a name and an email address, and that's what you need to upload then into Google Ads so that you can then use that list to populate an audience list that you can then capture in the future through remarketing. So just a note that when you do use customer list data, it's all hashed, so it's safe from kind of Google perspective and GDPR. So you'll see that when you come to do the upload of the customer match data. And then finally, I just want to briefly touch on the standard remarketing options. So when we say standard remarketing, it's kind of Google's base remarketing campaign. So helps you reach, same as everything else, helps you reach people who've previously visited your website or visited your app. You can create, any different type of audience list that you want that we previously spoke about. But you can then show these audience lists across Google's display network, on Google's display network, or when they've searched for terms related to your products or service across Google. So for display network campaigns specifically, you can actually target different ways on the display network, but I typically tend to gear more towards driving remarketing through either video or through RLSA, rather than kind of going down the display network route. But it's obviously, it's definitely an option for you to try. you know, there's a lot of scope there to reach kind of a big audience, and then kind of tailor that down with your remarketing list. So there's plenty of different options, and I'll show you again how to create your remarketing list and then apply it to a Google Ads display network campaign as well, so GDN. Right, so let's dive into the screen recording and we will get started with creating your remarketing campaigns.